Don't look so great right now. Don't sound so great right now. Don't feel so great right now. I am doing this video because trying to do a GoFundMe account and it won't let me go further without making a YouTube video. So I'm trying to figure this out. For you, those of you that know me, you know my whole life is taking care of my mom. When my dad passed away 10 years ago, I promised him I would take care of her. She had a brain injury over 20 years ago that caused issues, so she didn't remember to take care of herself, didn't remember to eat, didn't remember to take meds, anything. Over the years since then, her health has gone downhill. 10 years ago, after he passed away, I moved her in with me because she wasn't doing good by herself. I'm her paid caregiver through welfare, and I've been on top of everything. I mean, I've had her kidney specialist and her doctor tell me point blank she's alive because of the quality of care she's gotten. We had COVID in December. We all survived it. She survived it. She had blood work done January 21st for her kidney doctor for her regular check back. And he was excited to be able to tell us that her labs over the past year have shown that she has kidney cell healing happening. Her kidneys were actually not just stabilized, but had actually healed some, which is amazing. You don't hear of that happening often. Just that following weekend, she got a cold, a bug, whatever. Her tummy was upset both ways a little. When she didn't want to eat, she wasn't hungry. I was having a hard time getting fluids in her. After 3 days of this, I knew she needed IV therapy to rehydrate her. I tried going through the doctor's office. They no longer can give IVs like they used to be able to. It has to be a registered surgical center or hospital-y urgent care type place that can do IVs or EMTs. So all they could advise me to do was call the EMTs so they could IV her and take her to the ER. I really didn't want to do that. She didn't want to go. She didn't want to be in the hospital. And with all the COVID implications, she knew that meant I wouldn't be with her, that she'd be alone. When she was feeling bad enough. And I had to make the decision. They took her in. It's progressed since February 3rd. Today's the 28th. To her being on life support with COVID again. And pneumonia, and her kidney shut down, and her heart was having problems, and her lungs were not functioning. I tried numerous times over this past month to get them to call in her kidney specialist, to call in her lung specialist. They were saying that it wasn't anything to do with COVID once she got COVID there on and tested positive the 15th. But then on the flip side, they were saying that it wasn't her kidneys and her lungs. There was, I don't know how to say it, but I will never, ever let her go to that hospital again. They've had her captive there. It progressed to the point from her being able to talk to me and showing improvement and then downsliding again into being on this past Tuesday called in the morning to say she crashed. She was in ICU. They needed permission to put her on the respirator to intubate her, and that she wasn't expected to make it. This is what the end. There was nothing else they could do, and got our whole family together on a Zoom that they set up on an iPad there so we could all say goodbye. It was just, it was heart-wrenching. It was not an expected outcome from what was going on. All she had was dehydration and low sodium when she went in there. We were heartbroken, trying to figure out, coming up with money for cremation, trying to just figure anything out. I hadn't filed for unemployment. I'm paid through the state to take care of her. I had left working in pharmacy and left more lucrative money to be there, take care of my mama, to do what was needed. And now I have no income also. I pay a big portion of what it is for her to even live. Her social security is small. It's just survivor benefits from daddy because she was not working for so long. So there's not a lot of money. We've lived frugally the past few years, and it's okay because we were happy we were together. I didn't even think about unemployment at that point. My head wasn't thinking about me necessities here. I was just, all my calls, all my conversations, all my fighting was to try to get care for my mom. We went as high as the hospital admin. We filed a case with the patient advocate. I had talked to her specialists from the outside, asking them if there was any way they could get in there and have any influence. I was in constant contact with her primary. All of these doctors had called. All of them had called and asked to talk to the physicians that were attending, and tried to politically correctly, because of the way it's set up, the attending doctors, gods, that's how they think they are. The attending doctors in the hospital have all the say, and outside doctors can't just come in unless they're asked to consult. Over the month, that was requested numerous times. Mama even asked why she hadn't seen her kidney doctor when she was still lucid, and why she hadn't seen her doctor. Why wasn't he there? After she crashed, and they told us that was the end, and they didn't think that there was anything that could be done, then they put in the specialist resolve consult for the kidney doctor and the lung doctor. The doctor on staff this past week was not my mom's kidney doctor, but by the grace of God, he is the doctor that was their associate. So he was able to see in the epic records that my mom finally had a kidney consult. He talked to his associate and asked him questions about mom's care, her status, what they were doing, and he said something just didn't sit right. He was able to get in the door into mom's room because of his association with that doctor that was there, and get eyes on my mama. And he formally requested with the hospital director that he take over her care. He did that. He has spent, since late Tuesday, he has spent pretty much all his time there between his patients at his clinic, because he wasn't on hospital rounds, so it was all clinic visits. And then in the evenings being there with my mom. He's held her hand. He's told her I love her. He's done all of these things I couldn't. He said she's not at the end. This isn't right what they're doing. This therapies can be done. He ordered a slow and gentle dialysis process to be done over 8 hours each day for the past 3 days, to try to draw off all the vascular fluids they had let build up in her system, and it was causing excess pressure on her heart, her lungs, her whole system. Her blood pressure had bottomed out. They were having to give her meds to keep it up before and her body temperature was extremely low. They were having to warm her body up. Everything, her body was dying. But over the 3 days, he was able to draw off 11 liters. That's a lot of water. He was able to draw off 11 liters of fluid through this dialysis process, because as her blood was going through it, they were drawing off that excess fluid and disposing of it, and then putting that cleaned out blood back in. So it reduced that vascular edema that she had. Her body started warming up naturally. Her blood pressure started coming up naturally. They were able to reduce the meds to keep it up. The pressure being reduced vascularly and physically reduced the chance of cardiac arrest. Because that would have been it if she'd gone into cardiac arrest. There was nothing to do. Even trying to resuscitate her would kill her. So her blood pressure is doing better, and her breathing was great, really, really, because through all of this, she contracted COVID. She came up positive after she'd already been there 2.5 weeks. Then she had COVID. They had tested prior, because they test every week. They test on admit. They test every week. But somewhere, somehow, while there, she got COVID for a second time. She survived it in December. She survived it and was getting better. She was weak, but she was getting better. But in there, she got it again. They were saying it wasn't COVID that was causing all the problems, but that there was nothing they could do for her kidneys and her lungs. But this doctor, he was willing. He's pissed off hospital staff. He's gone against the grain. They're not looking on him favorably, but he's in charge now. He did get put in charge. He's in charge, and he's doing therapy that is helping. It wasn't a guarantee it would help at this point. I mean, it still could mean the end of her life for her, but it's given her a chance for the antibiotics to be working in her lungs, for her to not have as much pressure to try to breathe. She was on a respirator at 100% oxygen. That has been able to be reduced to 40% pressure now. Her blood pressure's holding up with minimal assistance. Her body's warmed up somewhat normal. She's still unconscious, and it's best that she's that way, because this is painful what she's going through. But she has a chance. She might make it. She might at least make it to the point that she can come home and be here where she wants to be. That was all she kept asking for. Just let me go home. Just let me go home. If there's nothing, just let me go home. And they wouldn't. And then after she couldn't speak for herself, she has COVID. So legally they had every right. We had no rights to take her out of there, even AMA. She deserves the right to live and die on her terms. If it's not meant for her to continue living and to just stabilize for a bit, we want to be able to bring her home and surround her and love her. Nobody's been able to be there and love on her since the third one she left in the ambulance. And she deserves to be loved and to know she is. Now, I'm thinking about when she does make it, long term or even a bit, what it means. I've been without pay since the third. I've had my first check with just enough to put gas in the tank and pay my insurance and get some groceries. I had filed for unemployment, and because I work for the state, you'd think, their systems would be synced. No, they couldn't verify who I am, and they put it right in an adjudication, and they're saying it'll be 6 to 10 weeks before they even look at it. So I'm without funds to even keep rent paid and stuff, to keep this home, to bring her home to. So I'm asking for help to pay the basics until that unemployment comes in. And if anybody wants to help with that, I appreciate it. And if you want, when I get the unemployment goes through and I get the check and whatever and they back pay, I'll try to pay people back. So that's what this video is about. If it comes to it and Mama passes away, I can have the money returned, however they do that, or put it towards helping other people who are going through this with their families, because nobody should.